China Solved presents 3 Foreign Fails in China, presented by Andrew Hubert. Let's look at some common problems Western companies run into and how they result in failed negotiations in China. What are the biggest negotiation mistakes that Westerners make, and how can you avoid them? The 3 mistakes I consider most significant are 1. Lack of goals, 2. Picking the wrong partner, and 3. Not having an exit strategy. Let's look at each of these in a little bit more detail. Number 1, bad goals. What's your goal for your company's negotiation in China? Making a lot of money isn't an appropriate business goal. It's a naive wish. Don't make the mistake of trying to turn your first China deal into on-the-job training or learning experience. You can end up sacrificing your technology, IP, brand, and reputation to learn a lesson you should already know. Don't take blind risks. Know where you want to end up. If you don't know where you're going, then you're certainly going to get lost. The less familiar you are with the environment and conditions, the more you need to prepare in advance. A lot of Westerners deal with this unfamiliar terrain problem by relying on their counterparty for all of their business information and basic assistance in China. If your negotiating counterparty is your guide, then you have to make that explicit and build it into the conversation from the very beginning. Don't assume that your manufacturer, your service provider, or your distributor in China is going to be able to or willing to help you with a range of business issues that don't put money in their pocket. There's nothing wrong with hiring a guide, a lawyer, a consultant, an expert, or a key staff member. But you have to make 100% certain that they understand their role. You also have to discuss how they're getting paid. As we'll talk about in part 3, don't plan on having him switch his role when you start getting a better understanding of China. No goals equals high risk. The whole Chinese negotiating process is set up for them to gather information and steepen their learning curve. You may learn generic market and economic basics from them, but they're going to learn details about your technology, sales process, and market strategy. This is a real problem for Westerners in general and for Americans in particular. Chinese negotiators consider learning about your business to be a major priority, and they're very deliberate about the way they go about it. Don't let your early meetings become talk show interviews where you are the guest and they are the interviewer. This isn't Oprah or Leno. This is your business. Keep private information to yourself. And that includes information about your technology, your market plans, and your customer lists. Remember your SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely. If you can't make your China goals SMART, then you may be doing something dumb. The second big contributor to foreign fail syndrome is negotiating with the wrong partner or counterparty. Lack of good goals leads directly to problem number 2, wrong partners. In China, this can mean 2 things. First, your partner may be actively working against you. He may have plans to steal your technology, your IP, your customers, and your assets. But even more dangerous is the partner who genuinely wants to help you, but he's a bad fit. He lacks the skills, the resources, or the perspective to actually help you succeed. Due diligence, China style. In China, due diligence is about character and loyalty, not credit reports and assets. Think about your China operation. Do you plan on calling the shots? Now think about your counterparty. Does he plan on moving into your markets eventually and competing directly against you? If you can't agree on big picture issues early, then you have to find a new partner now. Don't stick with the wrong counterparty and hope for magic later. In 6 months, the guy sitting across the table from you will probably know more about your China operation than you do. Remember that before you give up exclusivity or make long-term commitments. Don't hold on for too long. If you have the wrong partner or counterparty in China, the situation is very unlikely to just fix itself. Westerners have a habit of sticking with the wrong partner for too long, either because they don't want to go through all the effort to search out a new partner, or because they believe their existing counterparty will eventually improve and start doing business the Western way. Some mismatches can be fixed, but be explicit, proactive, and discuss the situation directly and honestly. Don't expect them to eventually just start doing business according to your standards or international norms. China has its own methods and approaches, and your partner may think that his process is just fine. No one gets more honest, reliable, or efficient after they are already in control of your assets. If you are frustrated or lack confidence in your partner, be diplomatic, but deal with it. Things don't just work out on their own. The final contributor to foreign fails has to do with deal structure. Is your relationship with your negotiating counterparty going to end? How? When? Why? You may plan on being in China forever, but do you plan on being with him forever? Westerners are sometimes so worried about getting the deal that they neglect to plan for actually doing the business. In China, your risks grow as your business thrives, because that's when you have assets that are actually worth going after. Westerners in China have to be particularly worried about accidentally taking on long-term commitments, either with a partner, with a government, or with their employees, without sufficient planning. When you first came to China, you were a helpless, clueless stranger who couldn't do anything for yourself. He helped you. He drove you around. He showed you how everything worked, and you relied on him for everything. But now you have more experience, some trusted managers, maybe an assistant. You feel like the boss again. You feel in control. But he still feels like he's in charge. Just because you plan on staying in China for a long time doesn't mean that you don't need an exit strategy from this negotiation. Structure your deals and relationships for success. And that means anticipating what kind of relationship you'll have if things go well. The more money and assets you accumulate in China, the greater your risks. The big question is this. Will your partner, the guy you're negotiating with now, will he be satisfied with the status quo when the business starts making money? Or will he start to think that he deserves a bigger cut, or that he can do better on his own? These are the kinds of questions you have to think about early and build into your negotiating strategy from the very beginning. You can avoid most of the foreign fails in China by structuring your deals for success from the very beginning. For China Solved, this has been Andrew Hubert. Thank you.